know that you denounce things, you praise things, and I agree with you in many of the instances where you do. I'm just pointing out you don't have a foundation under that very nice house of yours.
You talk as if, you really do talk as if I advocate for evolution. I say I wish evolution was true. That it's not an opinion of mine or a conclusion of mine. It's a desire or a piece of propaganda on my part. Convinced as I am that all the evidence suggests the cosmos began with a Big Bang, the universe is expanding very fast, and the rate of expansion is increasing, and that the galaxy Andromeda is headed on a direct collision course with our own, so that we know we can watch it in the sky, we can watch it through a telescope, that the something we have now will very soon be nothing. I know that to be true. You say, well, then, where's your morality come from? I say, wait a minute, first of all, is this true or is it not? What about the evidence? Now, just about the origin of our own tiny species, never mind the cosmos, all the evidence is, absolutely all of it, says that we are here because of the operations of random mutation and natural selection. There is no other satisfactory explanation for our presence here. You say, well, that just means we're animals. Well, what if it's true? What if it's true? What if all the evidence is in its favor? Then it's not my opinion. It's not my propaganda. I can't make myself believe something that's in direct contradiction to all the known facts.
Then you should embrace the consequences of what you affirm.
Well, do I not seem to do so?
No. Because you can't account for morality. Given what you just described, you can't account for it, and
yes,
you persist in hanging on to it.
The need of our species for solidarity and for survival is a perfectly good explanation.
No, killing other races off is another way to survive.
Sure, well, that's often enjoined that, as you know, is enjoined in the Bible.
Right.
The destruction of other races is necessary for the children of Israel to get to the stolen property that they've been awarded in Sinai.
So what problem do you have with that?
I object to being told that it's a moral preachment. That's all.
Basically,
I object to being told that it's God's will. I can see why one tribe of Bronze Age bandits might want to kill and take the property and the young ladies of another tribe. I can see that. But to invent a story that says God gave them permission to do it, I think is wicked. And stupid, too, actually. And aesthetically somehow not pleasing. Let me add. Now, where do aesthetics come from if we're just primates? I don't know exactly, but we have enough surplus in our cortexes to allow for art and music and indeed love. Just as well, I often think. But I don't regard it as a divine gift. And there's absolutely no evidence that it is.
Well, this back and forth has been very instructive. We have a lot of people wanting to ask questions. So questions now, and then we'll just have one answer, and then move on to the next question. But this has been very good. Emily?
My question is similar to what Mr. Wilson was just asking. It's for you, Mr. Hitchens. Assuming, as you've said, that evolution has created everything that is, and that random mutation and natural selection produce mixed results, competing instincts towards generosity and love as well as toward genocide and war and domination. And if you, as you don't know where aesthetics come from, you don't appear to want to be pinned down on where objective morality comes from.
No, objective morality is from human solidarity. The need for survival. We couldn't be having this conversation if we were not moral animals. We wouldn't have got this far. We wouldn't have evolved language.
Okay.
Or civilization. So, I know I've said this before.
Okay, given the fact of competing human solidarities, definitions of morality, why should anyone listen when you say such and such an action is wrong? A nation should follow such and such a course. What is your justification for persuading people to believe certain things?
Only slightly better than my saying they should listen to me because I'm doing God's will. Slightly but measurably superior to that. And less arrogant. Considerably less arrogant.
I want to point out that
and aesthetically more pleasing.
I want to point out just very quickly and hit it and run away. And that is the evolutionary advantage is not conferred simply by human solidarity. Evolutionary advantage is also conferred by destroying your enemies.
Absolutely.
Okay? Now, you can't have just emphasize the one. So genetic propagation, preserving your little corner of the gene pool is a tribal thing. You can't just assume that enemies will only be Martians or aliens. So this means that evolution means conflict within the human species.
Yes. Where does that come from, by the way? That's God's will as well. And evil is God's will too.
We're sinners.
Isn't that a little trite or tautologist?
Very true.
It would be, of course, it would have to be the case because we're all sinners.
Yes.
Because that's how we've been made by God. This isn't very much nutrition, I don't think. It's not very satisfying. It doesn't tell you very much. I mean, I know the devil was once in heaven as a co-ruler, and there was a falling out. But I've never thought that was a terrifically good explanation of the problem of evil either.
Okay. My question is for Mr. Hitchens. First of all, I'd like to thank both of you for showing up and doing this for us. I don't think anyone else has thanked you for that yet, so let me be the first to do so.
Please, it's my pleasure, but thank you.
You're welcome.
Very, very decent of you.
My question is, if your view of morality is that it is innate within humans and is simply a natural process, a natural accumulation of events, then isn't your statement that like genocide is wrong in the Old Testament and evil and utterly despicable, and yet you just told us that you would like to kill those who wish to kill you, who wish to, radical Muslims, radical Christians, whatever. My question is, couldn't morality, like, if morality is evolving, would you agree with that? That morality is evolving, that it is, since humans are evolving and morality is found within humans, then by essence morality would be evolving. Would you agree with that statement?
It's what Macaulay called the Whig interpretation of history, that there is an improvement over time in our compassion, that we include more and more people and award more and more rights. But yes, I can't say I don't believe that.
Okay. My question then is,
there are some terrible backslidings. I mean, fascism is much worse than anything that went before it, and many, many huge improvements occurred before that colossal reaction set in. So it's unwise to just accept the Whig interpretation that evolution is a fairly straight line.
Well, yes, of course. I mean, evolution, obviously, you have some backsliding with it. That's pretty obvious from scientific
Our
theory.
brains are, in fact, getting bigger, but very slowly.
But I guess my question is then, would you support eugenics in order to continue the good health and prosperity of the human race? A thing that is generally looked down upon in today's society, but for the good of mankind, I mean, there's a reason Down syndrome babies with Down syndrome has declined precipitously, and that is because people don't want to have to take care of them. Mm-hmm. So would it be acceptable to say, well, look, for the good of mankind, in order to survive, why don't we kill off X amount of people?
Well, fortunately, nature does most of that for us. I mean, most abortions take place spontaneously in the womb. Nature knows this one isn't going to work out. It's called miscarriage. It happens all the time. If we adapt, as you know, our bodies are adapted to life on the African savanna. We're adapted to an environment that we've fled from. But if there'd been humans with 2 or 3 lolling-headed, disabled babies on that savanna to take care of, they wouldn't have survived. Everyone would have been killed by the predators. So on the whole, nature takes care of this for us. I'm not in favor of exterminating the unfit. No, I hope I didn't say anything that would lead you to the contrary impression. And if you ask me, is that just because of some compassion that I couldn't explain the origin of, the answer is actually no. There would be a utility, or not entirely, there would be a utilitarian explanation as well. As when we encounter a terrifying new disease like AIDS, you learn a great deal from combating it. You improve your game in medicine and research. If you treat every human being, however disabled mentally or physically they are, as if they're worth the full value, you gain experiences that are well worth having for the betterment of the species in general.
If I could just tack one thing on, just general observation. An atheistic process of evolution means that terms like backsliding is incoherent. Progress is incoherent. There's no such thing as progress. There's no such thing as backsliding. all you have is change. If there is no judgment,